Since I was a kid, I've been fascinated by stories. Not just the what, but the how. How lives change. How moments unfold. I realize the answers, they aren't always in books, but they're with people too. That's why we started this show, to uncover the extraordinary in the everyday, one story at a time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very special back-to-school edition of Storytellers. This is our July episode. This is an interview that nearly all of Anderson County parents, students, teachers, administrators, and families will want to hear. Today, we welcome Dr. Tim Parrott, Anderson County's Director of Schools, to the Storyteller stage to provide loads of information and answer some of the county's most asked questions about the start of the new school year. And that is a story that should appeal to everybody. So, Dr. Parrott, welcome to Storytellers. This is your 10th year, right?
This is my 10th year starting as director. Yes, 33 years as a employee of Anderson County Schools.
Fantastic. A decade of being in the big chair. Does that chair get heavier every year?
It does at that. It has changed a lot over 10 years.
I bet it has.
Yes.
Well, let's just jump into this. I've got a list of questions that lots of folks have kind of expressed, because there are some changes with new laws and things that are going on. So we'll just jump into this, and I'll let you provide the community with some information that will be helpful as we get ready to roll into the 25-26 school year. So first and foremost, we usually have this big meeting to start off the school year every year, but it's not on the schedule this year. So what's up with that?
Right. So as you know, we do a teacher survey every year. The state does one, and they allow the teachers to put comments on it and everything. And so, believe it or not, I read all those comments every year and go through them. And so one of the kind of themes I saw in that was, hey, we really like what we did last year. The speaker was great, but we really need more time in our classroom. And so what we decided as a leadership team this year is that we would kind of do something different with technology. We would kind of come to them to where they could watch it at their leisure time and not pull them out of that classroom and get to spend more time in their school and in their classroom. So we're trying something different this year. We'll see if it works. If it doesn't, we'll listen to the survey, and we may try something different next year.
Right. Well, I mean, using that flexible time, everybody watches whatever they want to watch on TV at their own time, so they can do this too.
Exactly right.
So over the last 5 years in our school system, we have had declining student numbers. Our enrollment is down.
Yes.
Can you talk about that? What are some of the causes?
Yeah. So in Anderson County, when I took over as director of schools, we were almost 6,500 students, and that doesn't include pre-K and Head Start. If you put those in, there's about 300 more in there, so about 6,800. And so every year it declines. Now, believe it or not, COVID year actually went up, and so, but it just keeps declining. I think that not having affordable housing in Anderson County is one of those problems. I think another problem, another thing that's out there is we have a lot of kids that are going to online schools. And we have an online school in Anderson County. We average about 60 students in that online school, but it's only high school. And so you put that along with private schools, you've got the vouchers coming on. And so, every year it declines. Last year, our enrollment declined 175 students. And so what happens is those students don't come from one school. As you know, it would be great if they all come out of one class, you could get rid of one teacher, but they come from multiple places. And so that's always a concern, especially about budget, because when you start looking at that, a student generates about a little over $10,000 a year, about sometimes with federal money, almost $11,000. So you can see with 175 students being less, our budget is almost $2 million less. So how do we do that, and how do we keep up with salaries?
Right. So and then you've got the governor's plan to get to $50,000 for starting, which we have already. Yes, you guys have already done that.
Yep, we made that this year. Everybody got in the budget, it's a 3% pay raise. That's on everything. That's on their supplement, their extra days, their regular salary. And one of the things that when we really analyzed our salary schedules this year is we had thought about just giving a lump sum to everybody. But the problem was when you get our upper level teachers and our staff members, when they get 15, 20 years, our competitors, our Oak Ridge, Knox County, Rome County, all those others, they do a better job at that. So what we want to do is try to up that pay. So yes, we did reach 50,000. It did take some cuts to get to that, but I think you can never pay a teacher or a staff member what they're worth. They do a great job.
Well, since we're talking about budget and money, let's go ahead and address this one. How does the school board go about building the budget every year? Because I know our overall operating budget every year, it gets, that number's bigger. You know, yes. I mean, like when I first became an administrator in the system, our budget was $60-something million. Well, I know that it's way more than that now.
Yes.
So how do y'all do that?
So here's some things people may not know is in Anderson County, there's 3 different school systems. There's Anderson County schools, there's Clinton City schools, and there's Oak Ridge City schools. All 3 of those schools are funded by the county at the same level. So every student in Anderson County, whether they're in an Oak Ridge City schools, Clinton City, or Anderson County schools, Anderson County government with taxes and with property taxes and sales tax, they fund that. So as we look at our budget, as our enrollment declines, then our money declines. So that this year, for instance, when we had that decline in enrollment, Oak Ridge was pretty much the same, and they went up a little bit, and Clinton stayed almost the same, or they may have gained a few. So they did a recalculation, and so we lost as a local, we lost almost $500,000. And so you have to think about, okay, how do we offset that? And so when we looked at that, and then we look at our state did give a TISA funding it's the new name out there now, but they did raise the amount per student, and so that helped us some. That helped offset. We got about $800,000 new dollars from the state, but all of that had to go into salaries because when you look at a 3% pay raise overall for every employee, that's almost $2 million. So we had to make up the rest of that out of cuts and things like that. So the one thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overestimate what you're going to get from the state and what you're going to get from property taxes, because what happens come January, February, you knew that you were going to be behind and you have to stop everything. Well, we know school doesn't stop in January and February. So the school board does a really good job with a very fiscal, conservative budget to make sure that we do have everything we need. We have changed a lot over the school year too, is we went to a lot more of site-based management. As you know, we send out money to the schools. We send it for just a little bit of everything, but we send it for music, art, PE, teacher supply money, and things like that. And so we send out almost $900,000 a year to schools just for them to do what they want to do with it. So it helps make sure those teachers have what they need in that classroom. So I'm you're exactly right. The budget does go up every year. Right now we're looking at, as you know, there's a lot of changes at the federal level. Mm-hmm. And so with our Title II money in Anderson County, that's about $260,000. That money's on hold right now. So we don't know if we're going to get that money or not. The Federal Department of Education has said they're doing a analysis of all of those funds. So we're kind of in a holding pattern, but school starts in a week and we've got people that'll be in those positions. So we're kind of figure out where that money can come from.
Well, and I also know that, I mean, you do budgeting far in advance before the end of the year. And so I know you already had some things allocated when you found out about this difference in enrollment between Clinton and Oak Ridge and Anderson County.
Yes.
So you already had some of the budget done when you found out, oh, by the way, this money's not coming. So you had to adjust on
we
the
did.
fly.
We did. And this year is a reappraisal for Anderson County taxpayers. And so that money has to be the same. So it can't go up from last year to this year. So we knew we were going to get the same in property tax and sales tax. But overall, our percentage, I think we're about 54. So every dollar that is in sales tax and property tax in Anderson County Schools gets 54% of that. So 54 cents of a dollar. Clinton gets about 9 cents, and the rest of it goes to Oak Ridge. So Oak Ridge is about 43 cents. So here's the thing with us when we think about budget is Anderson County Schools doesn't have the extra money that the city schools put with them. In Oak Ridge, it's probably close to $20 million extra dollars.
And they have 2 funding streams. Clinton City has 2 funding streams, and we have one.
That's exactly right. Yes.
So every year, state legislature passed new laws on education. And we've got, I think, when we met with our attorney this year, 90-something
new laws.
Yes. So there's a handful that we think that people are going to be. Can you talk about those a little bit?
Yes.
And some of the new legislation?
Yes, I think the first one is the new voucher program. So as you know, the state had a special get together, I guess that's what you could call it. They had a special session in January, and they approved vouchers. Mm-hmm. And so there's 20,000 of them. I think it gives $7,295 to every student that can go to a private school. We've already been asked that question, does it go to homeschool parents right now? It does not. The bill, the way they put it, it was amazing because I go to Nashville and part of that group down there. And the homeschool parents were really adamant that they didn't want to be part of that. So I'm not sure about that, but I know that they had 4 or 5 people and parents that testified about that. But so that's kind of an unknown. Mm-hmm. We don't know where that's going to go. So I guess it's kind of one of those wait and sees. But as you know, when you lose students, you lose funding. So we've got to figure out about that. The other law I think a big one is looking at is cell phones. So there was and it really wasn't cell phones. Everybody says it's cell phone, but it says electronic device.
Wireless communication. Yeah.
And so
that's a watch,
iPad, it could be earbuds, all of those things. Game Boys, I guess they still have Game Boys. I'm telling my age now. But so in Anderson County, our policy has been, last year, is in middle school, when you come in the door, you have your phone off and in your backpack and you don't use it. If there's an emergency, the teacher can let you use that. If a teacher needs to pull that out and do it for classwork, they do those things. But in middle school, they just don't do them. In elementary school, just to be honest with you, I don't know why a student in elementary school needs a cell phone anyway. Let them go outside and play. But we'll talk about that one in a minute. More playtime.
More playtime.
Yeah. But we had our meetings and met with the board and everything, and that policy at the middle school is going to stay the same. When you come into school, you put your cell phone away, and it stays like that all day during the class time. At high school, we have had a policy that students can have their cell phones out when they're not in instruction, like in lunch. As you know, our 2 high schools have an hour lunch. 30 minutes is lunch, and 30 minutes they do other things. And so that policy is going to stay the same. We think we've done a great job with that. And when we talked with our principals, one of the things I do is I have a lunch and learn every year, and that's where I meet with a group of about 20 students from each middle school and high school, and I ask them all these questions, about cell phones and everything. And so it was amazing to find out that parents probably know this, but I think most of your high school and even your middle school, they've got 2 or 3 cell phones. So, when we looked at, okay, we're going to put them in a pouch or we're going to do all these things, well, when we've talked to the board, are we here to police students or are we here to educate students? And our job is to educate students. And so we want a partnership with those students. And that's what they said is when we're in a classroom and there's instruction going on and we're involved with hands-on learning, we don't think about our cell phones. And you'll have somebody that'll get in trouble every now and then. But I think overall our students have done a good job with that. And that's what they said. They said, hey, listen, if you tell us to put them in a pouch, we're going to put the other cell phone in a pouch, and then we're going to have the other one out. And so how much time do we spend on that? And so we're going to, like I said, we're going to roll with what we've had this year and from last year and see if we need to make any adjustments. We can, but I think that's what parents want, and I think that's what students want. So we're going to give it a shot.
Well, and I think a key thing for our community to understand is this is not an Anderson County policy.
No.
This is a state law.
State law.
Like it is required that we have a way to address wireless communication devices. Not optional.
No, not optional. And I think that's the other thing is, anytime you take up a cell phone, some of these cell phones are $1,000. Mm-hmm. And when you take them up and you take the risk of something happening to them, they get tore up, they get misplaced, somebody gets them. And so our job is, hey, if that student brings it to school, it's that student's responsibility. If they lose their cell phone, if somebody picks it up, they need to have it off and out of sight and know where it's at. And I think that's one of the things that we're going to stress with our students. Mm. Another law that is kind of our elementary schools. So at our elementary schools right now, they have to have PE so many days a week, but then they have to have unstructured playtime, outside recess. Well, there's a new law this year. It goes from 20 minutes to 40 minutes. Well, when you look at, and it is a law, we've got to abide by the law.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it, we're going to have to probably look at lengthening the school day a little bit, doing some stuff in the morning, because when you look at, you have to have math for so many hours, you have to have English so many hours, you got to have music, and we still want to have all of our art, music, PE technologies. You still want to have them. So we've got to figure out how to cram that 20 minutes into, pull it out of something else. So Katrina Oakley, our director of elementary, and her staff's done a really good job of how to manage that. So,
well, and just to let parents know how the fine line that way, like this is what I remember. If my PE teacher is in PE, and let's just say, for simplicity's sake, let's say he's got the kids walking. Well, that doesn't count.
No.
Because he's in PE. But if I got a math teacher that takes them outside the PE room or gym and they're walking, well, that counts.
Yep, it does.
And I was like,
unstructured.
Same activity, just a different person in a different room.
Exactly.
If you're in this one, it doesn't count. If you're in that one, it does.
Well, and here's the funny part about it too is, usually when I get in trouble, it's unstructured.
That is true. At my school, we work really hard to have very little unstructured time.
Yeah, yes. So I think that's going to be and I'm not sure. When you talk to the people that brought the legislation forward, a lot of them said that the schools didn't have any recess time, and I don't understand that. Another part of that law too is that you can't use recess as a punishment. So if I get in trouble in class, they can't say, Tim, you're going to have to stay in for recess. And you know how that used to be. That was just, hey, if I get in trouble, I don't get recess. So you can't do that now.
Right.
So.
Well, let's talk about money again, because everybody's interested in money. So I got two questions for you.
All right.
One thing that's on a lot of people's mind is the bonus money.
Right.
When the voucher bill came through, the governor sent some money. I'm not saying it's 30 pieces of silver, Dr. Parrott. I'm just saying it's some money.
It's the money
that's supposed to go out to staff. And then on top of that, talk a little bit about the raises too. So there's that bonus money, because I've already been asked about that from folks on our staff, and I know other people are interested. And then the raises.
Yep. So with the voucher bill, there was part of the bill that teachers and they categorize that as teachers, and that's somebody that's in TN Compass, if for parents probably don't know it, but it's somebody that gets evaluated as a teacher, and their job is over 60 to I think it's 60% of the day is direct access with kids. So what that would mean is all your classroom teachers, your guidance counselors, your technology teachers. But what that doesn't take into account is like different things like your administration, central office, all of those people. So they're not in there. So we have, when you think about that, we have about 650 teachers, okay? But only about 580 of those fit into that category. So we really pushed the state and said, how do you make that? It takes everybody working together. As you know, as a principal of a school, you can't run your school without a custodian and your counselors and your secretaries and all that stuff. So how do you do that? Well, they didn't bite on it. So that's a $2,000 bonus for teachers that fit into that category. And we're still working on the list. The finance department, they sent us a list and we have to send it back. You also had to be employed last year for at least 150 days. You couldn't have been retired. So they've got a lot of structure, a lot of things that you have to do to fit into that category. Now, with that money will come into the school system. We will have to appropriate it. As you know, people that don't understand is we really don't write checks in Anderson County Schools. Everything goes across to the courthouse, and it goes through their finance department. So county commission, if we approve something, then county commission approves it, and then it happens. And so we hope sometime in September, if we can get it, the earliest we can get it would probably be in September. Now, if you will look at the board agenda, the board is going to discuss all the other people. Mm-hmm. And so we would like to be able to put all the other people and give them a bonus. Right now, and what we do is there's usually some money left over at the end of the year. They call it rollover money. Mm-hmm. And so what we do with those things are stuff that's not in the budget, do extra things and stuff like that. Sometimes we have to make up the regular budget. This year we used about $400,000 just to make the budget regular budget. And so we're hoping that once we get those final numbers from the auditors, we will have enough money to do a bonus for that group. Now, we would love for that bonus to be the same thing. But as you know, is that money has to be there. You can't just pull it out of thin air, and you can't cut something else. So we're hoping that I'm hoping the presentation we bring to the board is that they will approve it, and they will approve up to $2,000 for all other employees if money's available, if funds are available. So once we know what those numbers are, everybody could use that money.
Sure. And
so it does. We've looked at it to pay everybody else that budget to do the $2,000. It's about $1.5 million it'll cost us. And so that has to come from somewhere. And so we'll see where that goes. But we know for sure that those 500, I think it's about 580 teachers are going to get that money.
So do you think when that payout comes, that bonus payout, do you think that will be in one check, or will it be distributed over?
Be one check.
Okay.
Be one check. And so what will have to happen, there's a lot of things that involved. It's not just giving a bonus, is because a lot of people have different things taken out. They may have a loan taken out of their check. They may have extra money to send to the IRS and everything. So we've got to work through all those things because some people have a lot more money taken out, and so you get the bonus and it's $250. You wonder where it is. Well, we took this payment out, we took that out, so we've got to work through all of those things.
Even the bonuses, Caesar's going to take taxes.
Exactly right. Yeah, they take taxes and the insurance and retirement out of it. Yes.
So I know one of your personal goals, and you went over with the administrators. You talked about this. One of your personal goals is improved communication throughout the district.
Yes.
So what are some of the things you're going to focus on this year to see that happen?
Here's what I hope to do is I try to get out into all the schools and just talk to parents and talk to students and everything. And I think sometimes we think we communicate, but we don't ask the right questions, or we don't listen attentive enough. So one of my goals this year is to be a really good active listener. and to listen to what people are saying, and then make sure I get back to them. And I try to get back to everybody within 24 hours, but we want to make sure that communication is clear. Ryan Sutton, our director of communication with Anderson County Schools, does a great job with getting things out on Facebook and stuff like that. And that's where a lot of people get their information out. And so we're going to try to do a better job of that, trying to do some, maybe just some things that everybody doesn't know. You know, I think we do a great job with sports and when people are doing extra stuff and our contests and things like that. But sometimes it's saying, hey, do you realize that how much toilet paper we buy in Anderson County Schools, you know, and custodial supplies. People may not, but we spend over almost $1 million in custodial supplies a year. And so when you think about that, it just happens. So I think those are things we're going to do a better job with communication. I think trying to be that open door policy. As you know, I had teachers in my office yesterday. I've had a parent in my office. I have that open door policy and trying to be more approachable, I guess. When some people are new to the district, they don't know me. I've lived in Anderson County all my life, and most everybody knows me, and they know where I live. If they've seen on Facebook, my wife gives away so much food every day, you know, with everybody knows where I live. So just stop by, and I'm there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I, as you touched on it, I don't know that people understand, like at my school, I mean, how much it costs to get the students to the building, turn on the lights, feed them, use the water, you know, electricity and all that. Yes. And that's before we provided a single drop of instruction.
Yes.
How much it costs just to get them there and operate the day.
Yes.
You know, it's quite a bit over the course of a year.
Yes. Well, and I think that's the thing is when you look at the budget, when you look at a $78 million budget, and really and truly 85 to 87% of that budget is salaries and benefits. And then you look at another 10% of that budget is just like what you said, is just buses, electricity, water, all of those other stuff. Well, then when you get down to it, there's only a really little part of the budget that you could say, okay, can I use it for this or this? And so we have to make sure we manage that portion the best we can because everybody's asking for that portion.
Well, every year you always have questions about your school calendar. Everybody's got a opinion about how that goes.
Yep.
So take a few minutes and explain to us how putting together the calendar and how that works.
Yep. So every year we work with our ACEA, which is the teachers union, and work with them on our calendar. And as for people new to the district or new to even our new staff members, I really think we got a great calendar. Teachers come back next week. First day of school is August the 4th. I think on that day we had been doing some staggered starts, and so that kind of changed. And we still do staggered starts in middle school and high school. They do one day, so sixth graders come on Monday. Everybody else comes on Tuesday. For high school, freshmen come on Monday. Everybody else comes on Tuesday, and we start. At elementary school, everybody comes that first day. Now, kindergarten has a staggered start, and the teachers will reach out to them. But I think we do a great job on that. People, and again, communication. I took it for granted. Everybody knew why we got out early on Wednesday. And I had somebody say, well, why do they do that and everything? So that started about, it's been 15 years ago, I guess. It's been a long time. So one thing we have to do is, believe it or not, parents, teachers are parents, and teachers have lives outside of school system. So we wanted to figure out a way to where we could train our teachers. We could give them time each week to do the professional development and still have time for other things, baseball games, going and getting your toes done and things like that. And so we started that, and it does a great job. So we spend 2 hours a week. Teachers and all staff stay over longer on Wednesday, and we get that 2 hours every week just to focus on student success. We pull the data in. We pull in everything that we can. We look at instruction. How did this instruction go? It didn't go well. What can we do to change it? How do we need to reteach? And I think that Wednesday, really and truly, it's not we get to the end of the year and we do that autopsy and said, oh, well, we should have changed it back then. It's right there. It's like going to the doctor's office. You get that diagnosis right then, and we can fix it. We don't have to wait till we're in ICU. And I think it's really done a good job. The other thing is fall break. We have a whole week at fall break. Students actually have 6 days off. They don't come back that Monday after fall break. We have an in-service day that day, and then we get off a full week at Thanksgiving. We used to do 2 days. As you remember, we had Monday and Tuesday. We've always had, ever since, I guess it's been 20 years, we had Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off. And in my office, we call that Monday and Tuesday the bird flu because you would have 25 to 30% of your students wouldn't be there, and sometimes you would have 25 to 30% of your staff wouldn't be there. So what we ended up doing, you couldn't get enough subs, and so we would have to put classes together. So it just really wasn't productive. And so we looked at it and met with the board and said, hey, what if we just take that week off and just do it? And I think it's done a great job. And
well, I think, too, a lot of things is the world has gotten smaller.
Yes.
When I was a teacher, most people just stayed around here for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Well, now you have people that have family members that live in, Kalamazoo, and you can't leave Wednesday afternoon and get to Kalamazoo and get your turkey cooked.
Exactly right.
And so people now are traveling, and it's just a little, the world has gotten smaller.
It has.
Over the years.
Yep. The one thing I'm going to give a shout out to or maybe a plea to the parents is, we do have more parents that have decided to take vacations at different times. And it is hard when you take a student out of school for a week. And so that's why we hope that these breaks every now and then with fall break, with Thanksgiving and Christmas and spring break, that they can do it. And I know everybody can't do vacation at that time, but trying to let them have that time with their families and things like that. So, we have people ask about the makeup days. We have 3 makeup days. We have one the day before Christmas. We have one the day before spring break, and we have one at the last day of school. So we use that day. Teachers still come in. Buses don't run. But if a student needs to come in and make up work on that day, we're there for 3.5 hours, and we can whatever they need to do. So we kind of have that time for everybody to just kind of finish up at a block of time at the end of a semester, at the end of a 9 weeks.
Right. You mentioned earlier in our interview, you mentioned the voucher program.
Yes.
Obviously this applies to the entire state of Tennessee, but specifically, how do you foresee it impacting Anderson County?
I think that it's hard to say right now because, as you know, in Anderson County, now in Oak Ridge, you have St. Mary's has a K-8 school. I think they have a K-8 school. And so students will go to that. They have a lot of students that I know, a lot of parents go to Grace. And so I think down the road, probably not right now, but I think in the next 3 to 5 years, you'll probably see a private school open in Anderson County that will fill a void. The one thing that's amazing to me is that the state is not going to track where those students came from. So we won't know if those vouchers can be for students that are already in private schools or they can be for a student moving to a private school. So you would think that we would want to know, the state would want to know what percentage already were in private school and what were coming out of the public school. But they're not going to track that. So it's going to be hard for us to track it too. And so do we lose a student because they moved or because they went to homeschool or they went to a voucher? I don't know. And it's hard to say. I think there's 20,000 slots open, and I think at last there was 40,000 applications. So I don't even know how they're going to pick that. I think they're still working through those things. But I think here's what I think is if Anderson County Schools has a good product, and I think we have a great school system with what we do. Our facilities are great. We have great teachers. I think we've got some of the best staff in the country. And we truly care about what our students do. We give them, there's a lot of different tracks out there when a student gets into high school. There's dual enrollment, there's middle college, there's CTE, there's certification, there's all of these things, there's online school. I think we give them a lot of options. And I think that that hometown where you can call somebody and say, hey, I need this. Our special ed students, our students with special needs, Kim Tal and her group, and you know how that works, one of the best groups out there. We're going to make sure that those students are successful. So that along with, sports. As you know, Clinton High School has a new football coach this year. They're working on a jumbotron at the football field today. We hit rock, and that's probably not a good thing. But then Anderson County, they're in the process. The building's been bought. They're going to have a indoor facility. And I think we have more to offer than a private school, really.
Well, and one of the things I think parents need to understand, if they go to another online option, it costs money.
Yes.
Where we're more than competitive is as we like to say, free 99.
Free 99. You're exactly right. Yes. And, you think about that too, is all of our students at Anderson County eat breakfast, lunch free.
Yeah.
It does cost us some money to do that. It's community eligibility, but we've had that now since before COVID. And I think it's one thing that we do a great job on. Rayanne and her group does a great job with that. And so we hope to continue that. When you look at we have Teacher Supply Depot to make sure our students have what they need. Every one of our students has a Chromebook for their use. So I think there's a lot of things that Anderson County does a good job on.
Mm-hmm. Well, and two, I think maybe some of the parents don't realize that it's not apples to apples. I mean, private schools they have right of refusal.
Yes.
In Anderson County, if you live in our zone, you're our student.
You come to our school.
It doesn't matter. I mean, whatever comes after that's irrelevant. If you live in our zone, you come to our school. If you could go to a voucher school and for whatever reason, maybe you don't run fast enough.
That's it.
Or maybe your fastball's not fast enough. No thanks. And there's no recourse.
There is no. And I don't know, and I could be saying something that I don't have enough information on, but I'm not sure if there's a private school in Tennessee that has a CTE program. And as you know, when we have welding, machining, building trades, automotive, we have diesel, we have cosmetology, we have all of these different programs, nursing programs, things like that our students get certified in before they leave high school. So, when they're looking at those things now, sometimes parents will believe it or not, sometimes parents get mad at us, and they want to take their student out of the school. But I think when they see it, we do a pretty good job. Mm-hmm. We've got a nurse in every school. We've got an SRO in every school. Every door is locked. Every teacher, every student, every employee has a panic button with their phone that they can call 911, and so all of those things lead into being a safe school and being a great school.
Mm-hmm. So I know every year you have initiatives. What are some of your initiatives for the 25-26 school year?
So this year, last year was Make Every Day Count. Mm-hmm. And so when we looked at it when we look at our data, out of about 30 categories, every one of those categories went up, except two, and I think two pretty well stayed the same. But I think we made every day count. And so as my 10th year, we've did digging in for growth. We've did, under construction and all of these things. And so this year we were in an interview, and we interviewed somebody, and we said, well, talk to us. What do you want to do next year that we did this year? And it was so funny, as they said, we just want to keep moving forward. And it just stuck. Mm-hmm. And so, believe it or not, on the internet, you can get a T-shirt for anything. So I got a T-shirt that says, keep moving forward. So we're going to keep moving forward, make every day count. And at the end of the day, I always look at a Bible verse and try to live my life and do the best I can. I fall short so many times, but 1 Corinthians, it talks about if you don't show love, you're no good. You're just a clanging cymbal. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have love and you burn yourself to stake, what good is it? And so I've kind of pushed my staff this year. We want to build relationships with children. Mm-hmm. And I give a shout out to you and the staff at CRCS. Y'all do such a great job of building that positive atmosphere and building building that relationship with those students. And it doesn't matter how rough a student is, how bad their home life is, they want somebody to care about them. Mm-hmm. And when you care about them, they will run through a brick wall for you. Mm-hmm. Now, and I told the new teachers, we've got about 40 new teachers this year, and I told them yesterday, I said, we want to give you everything you need in that classroom to be a great teacher. But the one thing we can't give you is those relationships. And if you don't build those relationships with the children and with the parents, you're going to be a mediocre teacher. You're not going to be that great teacher.
Doesn't matter what kind of technology you have. Nope. If you don't have, I have something in my phone that I read all the time, and it just helps me to stay grounded in what I'm doing. It says, I look at it all the time. It says, the world doesn't want to be saved; it wants to be loved, and that's how you save it.
That is true, and I think that's one of the things Anderson County does a great job on. We just teach school. I mean, there's been so much confrontation out here about all of these things, and with woke and with all that. I don't know what and bottom line is we just want to, we want to build relationships with kids, and we want to make them successful. And when we talk about our motto, we want to challenge, support every student every day. And I think when we do that, we do a good job. Now, we're going to, one of the things I told them is, we're like a train. We're on the track, and the problem is if you get off the train gets off the track, it can't move. Mm-hmm. And we want to stay on the track. And that track is when students graduate, they've got the knowledge and skills to be successful. And I think when we do that, we've done a great job. And if we can love on them along the way and win a few football games and do that other stuff, I think it's going to be a great year.
You mean people keep up with those football scores?
Oh, yes. I think they do. Everybody asks me about the recruiting budget. We don't have a recruiting budget in Anderson County.
Well, what are some of your goals for the 25-26 school year?
My main goal is, and we've had this goal for 3 years, is we want to see with our TCAP test and our algebra test and things like that, we want to have above 50% of our students that have met or exceeded that goal. And we're getting close. We're really close in some of them. The problem is sometimes we get really close or we get to that and the state moves the goalpost, mm-hmm. And so once so many percentage of the state gets above 50%, they move the goalpost. So we want to be above that. We want to be above the state average. I think we do a good job with that. As you know, we've got a graduation rate of over 95%, but we still lose some students. Some students come to us late and they bring baggage, and that's why those extra programs like CRCS, the online academy, the Bridge Academy, things like that, we have to have those things. Those things cost money, but we have to have them if we're going to make every student successful. So that's one of my big goals, is that 50%. The other goal is it's something every year, is safety. I want to make sure our students feel safe, that our parents know that they can trust us, and that when they drop their child off at school, they're going to be safe. They're not going to be in a hostile classroom. They're not going to be, we can't stop everything, but when we find out something happens, we're going to acknowledge it happened, and we're going to look into it, and we're going to try to stop it. And I think that's a hard thing to do sometimes, because this world has really changed. And a lot of ethics and a lot of things that everybody used to have, they don't have anymore. But in Anderson County, again, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your home life is, what your zip code is. When you walk into Anderson County schools, we treat them all the same.
Well, speaking directly to the staff, your staff, as the 25-26 school year is right on the cusp of kicking off, what are some things you want to say directly to them, and what are some things you want to stress in this interview for everybody as we, Monday morning, staff's back, we walk into the door, your message to them is what?
Well, first of all, the ones that were here last year, I want to thank them for a fantastic year. They really and truly went above and beyond. They worked hard. They saw where things needed to be changed and fixed, and they did that. And I think people don't realize that our staff, we can't do it without our classified staff. Our custodians, when you walk into our schools, they do a fantastic job. Our secretaries, our bookkeepers, our nurses, I can go on and on with they just do a great job. When you think about our nutrition, they do 6,000 meals a day. Breakfast and lunch comes to 12,000 meals. That's a lot of meals. Mm-hmm. I'm glad I don't have to cook that many meals. But I think they need to understand, too, that there's some expectations of us. And so they expect me to be at work every day. I expect them to be at work every day. I expect them to give 100%. I expect them, when they're in the classroom, to be 100% engaged in that classroom. Just like the student, they don't need to have their cell phone out. It needs to be put up in a way. We know that everybody has emergencies, but we should expect the same out of our staff as we expect out of our students. And so that's kind of one of my non-negotiables. The other thing we've got to look at is when you think about people being out of the classroom. And we had 20,000 absences last year. And it just blew my mind. Now, that's counting field trips. That's people that went out on maternity leave and all of these things. But just our teachers, we missed about 6,000 days last year. And when you take that, that's out of 600 teachers, that's 10 days out of the classroom. And although we spend a lot of money on subs, almost $750,000, that sub can't take the place of that teacher. And so we're asking the teachers to be in that classroom, to be fully engaged. But here's what they can't do. They can't do it 100% of the time. They can't be teaching at 9. They can't be working at 9 or 10 o'clock at night. They have to have some self-care. And so they need to take time for themselves. And so I hope that they do that. As you know, I try to work out. It's everybody. I know you work out every day, and I think those are some things that you need to do. I laugh. I told our staff and our teachers, I said, sometimes you need to just get your toes done. And your fingernails done. You need to go down here at Richie No and get you a massage, and or just go for a walk, go out to eat, because you can't function at 70%. And here's the one. Here's my main thing, and in my thing, don't stop. When things get hard, we can't stop. It is too important what we're doing to stop or to fail. We can't fail. Failure's not an option. So we want to make sure that we keep moving forward. I can tell them for sure that that'll be on a T-shirt sometime before fall break. We're working on the design right now, and we're going to do those things. And it's really not rocket science. When we care about kids and we're in the classroom and we're doing our job, great things happen. Now, they're going to get frustrated. I told our new teachers, I tell them this every year, is that you just need to understand you're going to get sick. If you're a new teacher, you're going to get sick. Chances are by Christmas you could probably eat roadkill and it wouldn't bother you, because you've had everything
exposed to
everything in the world, yeah. And so, but listen, we've got a great group of new teachers, and so we're excited about those things. And I don't know, I get excited about school. Mm-hmm. When I have granddaughters that are going into freshmen at Clinton High School. I've got a grandson going into 5th grade, got one going into 2nd grade, and got a granddaughter going into special ed pre-K. Mm-hmm. And so, I'm 100% bought into this school system, So, and again, if you got a problem, call me. Come by my office. And as I tell people, I have to have great people around me, because if they I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I know that, and I want to have help. And if I make mistakes, we figure them out and we move on. But I think that is that safety of our students and our staff that keeps me up at night, knowing, hey, how do we do this? And we spend a lot of money on that with our door locks and things like that. But you want to be prepared if something does happen, but we hope it never does happen. So we spend that good money hoping we never use it.
That's true. Kind of like insurance.
Exactly right.
The best insurance policy is the one you don't use.
Exactly right.
But you always got to have it.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Parrott, thank you for your time. I know this is a busy time for you as we all get ready to kick in a new year. And as you said, this is year number 10, a decade as our director.
Yes.
So thank you for taking time out of your day. And to Anderson County's families, teachers, I hope Dr. Parrott has addressed many, some, maybe all of your questions. But as a practitioner, I'm looking forward to the 25-26 school year. Hope you guys are too. If you have any questions for Dr. Parrott, as he said, you can email him, you can call him, get your answers from him, or you can call your students' school. Principals are back in school, ready to answer questions. So we appreciate your all support as we start the new school year, because it takes all of us to do this job. Once again, thanks to Dr. Parrott. And again, this is our July episode of ACTV Storytellers. And tune in August when we'll have another guest, a local Anderson County person who's done quite well with themselves. So thanks again, and we'll see you in August.